Hey guys! Today I'm going to show you how to do making labels. How to make labels. There we go. See if I can speak English. Out of the stained glass doodles that I've been making for the new upcoming coloring book. And that should be super exciting just to color. So here's an example of what I've already done. I did this last week. And to begin, you're going to want to print off your doodle of choice, your stained glass design, with tracing paper. And what I've got is just a lightweight, smooth tracing paper. It was like $3 on Amazon for 50 sheets. It's pretty dang cheap. And I just stuck this into the printer and it printed out pretty well actually. So what I did was I then put the tracing paper, I taped it onto a piece of paper, and then I colored in my label. Alright, now because it's already colored, I'm going to take it off, I'm going to cut it out, and then we're going to use the Mod Podge to put it on our glass. Now you want to make sure your glass jar is clean, and I probably should have had one of these already. Hi Leanne! Hi Zach and Zach. I've got two Zachs joining me today. Awesome. Now, to color onto the tracing paper, I recommend using alcohol markers, because if you used any water-based ink marker, it's probably going to smudge and smear when you go to apply the Mod Podge, because it's a water-based adhesive. Now, for most of these doodles, I actually have some kind of pretty flourish on the edges to make it an interesting shape. It's not, some of them are just a box, a rectangle, a circle, and some of them have these pretty floral looking edges to them. So if you're going to use them for a label, I highly recommend you choose one of the ones that have a pretty flourish on the edge to make an interesting shape, and they're not too hard to cut around. Hey, how you doing, Leanne? I miss you, girl. I should also mention that on the example that I have here, you can see that I've got some of the colors fading into other colors, and that's a really easy thing to do with the alcohol markers, and it makes a really interesting effect, especially if you're going to use these jars as like votive candles holders, which I think would be really pretty, because that inner glow and the tracing paper makes it look so warm and inviting. Now, I should also mention that you can either write your, if you're using them as an actual label, if you want to write something in here before or after you Mod Podge, it's fine. You could just use a Sharpie, either one. You could probably, after you use the Mod Podge, you could use chalk markers. They will grab onto the Mod Podge, and then you can wipe them off, clean them off, and relabel if you wanted to. Just an idea. Okay, let me clear off my space. So, to begin, I'm going to take the Mod Podge, and I'm going to put a coat onto the glass first. Right, wherever I'm going to have the label. And this doesn't take long, and you don't have to be precise with it, because Mod Podge dries clear. So wherever you put the Mod Podge, but there isn't going to be a label there, you really won't notice. It's a beautiful thing, our Mod Podge. All right, now now that we have a good coat on there. I'm going to take my label. Now on glass jars, if you're going to use one of these, there is a seam, usually, down one side. Yeah, just the one side of the glass. And I would use that, if I were you, to level the label. Because if you were to put this on at a catty corner, it's not going to match up on the other side. And that's exactly what I did wrong on this one. So you can see this is what happens when you don't line it up levelly. It's not lovely. I think I'm funny. Okay, so I'm going to start with one end. I'm going to line it up right along that line. Lovely. And then I'm going to carefully smooth it all the way around. I'm doing it this way because I don't want to get any air bubbles or wrinkles in it. I also didn't check the size of this jar, so this one doesn't match up. Another thing to keep in mind, don't do everything that I do, because you'll make mistakes like I do. But we're having fun, and we're learning as we go. So punny, huh? I do try. Hi, Katie. Mwah, miss you. Today we are using the stained glass doodles to make labels on a jar, for those of you who've just joined. And I have put Mod Podge on a jar. I have then taken my cut out label, which was printed onto tracing paper. And hi, Courtney. And now I'm smoothing out any bubbles or creases. Now, you don't have to be overly zealous about smoothing out every single wrinkle. This is tracing paper. It is a very thin paper. As soon as it gets wet, it's going to want to wrinkle. However, once it dries, I've noticed that it smooths right out. It's not too big of a deal. You just really want to get the major wrinkles and air bubbles out, if there are any. Okay, so now that I've smoothed that all out, I'm going to take the Mod Podge again and put another layer on top. Again, super quick, super easy. You don't have to be precise. You don't even have to smooth out. I mean, you don't want huge globs and you don't want it dripping. So it can be a thin layer, but you don't have to be precise. You're just putting on another coat. This is to seal it on top. This top coat sealing is also what makes it readily available for you to wash it. You can clean it off with a little soap and water. If it gets dirty, I wouldn't put them in the dishwasher because I don't know what that does. I do think they have a dishwashing Mod Podge that's dishwasher safe, but be sure to use that if you plan on putting this on a dishwasher piece. Anyway, so then you just wait for it to dry and then it's good to go. Like I said, you can use paint markers after this dries to put on the label, because, I'm sorry, not paint markers. You can use paint markers for sure, but that'll be permanent. You can use chalk markers, because those will wash off with a little water, maybe even some soap, but it won't ruin the label. And then you can relabel it if you wanted to with chalk markers. Hi, Tassie. Hi, Gail. You guys are awesome. Thank you for joining me. I'm actually just finishing up right now. I used tracing paper. I printed out the doodle on tracing paper. I then taped the tracing paper onto a piece of cardstock, actually, so I could color it, because that just makes it easier to see the colors, because if it were, it would be see-through. You wouldn't see the colors very nicely if you didn't do that. Once you color it, you cut it out, you put a layer of Mod Podge onto the glass jar, you line up your label, you smooth out all the edges and ridges, put another layer of Mod Podge, you let it dry, you're done. Mwah! Thank you for joining me, guys. That's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you missed, thank you, Courtney. If you missed this doodle that I made specifically for labels, I put it out in the last email for the weekly doodles, but if you missed it, sign up on my website, whitefoxcoloring.com, and let me know that you missed it, and I will send it to you. It is one of my free doodles. Once the book is available, I will let you guys know. You can purchase it, and there will be at least 20 of the doodles that are exclusive to the coloring book. You won't see them anywhere else for printing. They won't be free. They're only for the coloring book. So I hope you guys get it and enjoy it as much as I do. Mwah. Love you. Bye.